Taco Show Diaspora Edition. We are here with my friend, Bwana Lucas, and waiting for other panelists to join in. But I welcome everybody to this show today. We have interesting things to talk about today. And before we start the show, as usual, wacha tuende mbele ya Mungu tuweke maombi, alafu tuanze mjadala, and we see how we go. Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this opportunity that we have had to be together. We thank you for the opportunity to discuss matters pertaining to our beloved country. May you guide us in everything that we're going to talk, and may be able to reach people and educate, and also disseminate information that will be helpful to other people. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you. First of all, let me just recognize a few people who are always tuned in. Bwana Munga Luta Continua. I know you're a top fan of Taco. Na kuona umejoin up on Facebook already, and you're saying good morning, Taco, tuning in from Coventry, UK. Welcome. Bwana, you can join us also on our diaspora. I think UK in the diaspora, unless you may move, ikaenda Kenya squeezy. I don't know. But welcome. Good morning. Najita Bwana Mitch. Namuona hapo Jared Kimeto. Karibu sana. Bwana Wanaina, good morning. Welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for joining this Taco today. We have the link. Bwana Munga, if you want to use the Google Meet link and join us for the discussion, you are more than welcome. And everybody else in the diaspora, watu wa Middle East, watu wa India, watu wa UK, watu wa US, anywhere in the corner, watu yangu wa Australia, mko wapi bwana? Karibu, join us in the show. So, Bwana Lucas, welcome to the show. While we are waiting for other people to join, I guess we can start the conversation and see how it goes. It's been an eventful week so far. A lot of things that have happened. The most recent one, of course, is a cabinet reshuffle by the president. The other day, there was a issue of a task force, that, so to speak, that was formed to look at electricity charges and all that, and the directive was given. And a friend of mine mentioned this, so I think I have to mention that. Namwona bwana ambassador. Hey, ambassador.
Hey.
Inaona jua imekuchapa huko karibu bwana.
Huku tuko jangwani sasa, December ndio hii.
December imefika already huko.
Imefika.
Unajua nyinyi mnakuanga masaa ya mbele sana, so December inaweza kuwa imefika huko, sisi bado tuko.
Saa hii tumeshakula lunch bwana.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Welcome to the show, bwana. I'm glad you made it. Bwana Mr. naona ameingia hapo. I know he's going to turn on his video and we can go ahead and talk. Bwana Ambassador, a couple of things that I wanted us, and first of all, I'm trying to tee up. Nataka hii show bado tuendeleze next week. There is something that I want us to talk about, and I don't want to hijack you today, but you can prepare for next week.
Yeah.
Sometimes we talk, but then I always think it's also a good idea to give alternatives and solutions that can help our people. I know during some of our conversations, you talked about where you offer to give people some advice and on how to apply to come to Australia and all that. And you try to do with a small fee na watu wakakurushia mawe. But I firmly believe if somebody wants something, they will find a way to get it.
Yeah.
I know there are opportunities in Australia, there are opportunities in the US, there are opportunities in Canada, everywhere, UK, name it. There are opportunities. It's just a question of looking for them and being determined to get it. So one of the things that I want us actually to discuss next week is not to give all the details, but what can we offer? What opportunities or what can you offer as a service to people who are willing to listen and who understand that some of these things people do, they put in time to gather the information and get it together. So, and everybody, being out here, that time is money, and everybody knows time is money, but really time is money here. When I put in time to do something, there is always an expectation of fair compensation. It's not, I don't believe you are charging any exorbitant fee, but that's a discussion that I want us to have next week and see.
Okay.
Up. I know my friend Miza is also engaged in a similar thing in Canada. I want to give you guys opportunity next week so that we can focus on that and see how we can help our people who are willing to go out. One of the things that actually made me think about that is remember the story that I shared with you, and I think you are aware of it. The young lady who, I think she had a math degree or something.
Yeah.
Lakini alikuwa amerudi
First class
mashambani kuchuna chai, and really that
Mm.
really touched me because I said people should know that there are opportunities outside the country. But if you have the information, then if you don't want to act on it, that's a different story. But if you don't have the information, then I think we are failing somewhere, and we need to provide that information. And then from there, people can get that. Anyway, let's get back to this week. One ambassador, some good events have happened. I don't know whether I will call them good or tough, but one of the things that I was talking to a friend of mine today is the directive of the task force about electricity consumption and the tariffs and all that. I realized that there are companies making, private companies, so to speak, that provide power to KPLC that are charging more than triple the charges. So KPLC essentially is paying extra to these people more than what they're supposed to pay. You know, KenGen is generating the electricity, they sell it at a fair market value, but then there are some companies who are never known where they're generating their power from, but they're minting millions from this company. And then at the end of the day, these charges are transferred to the customers. So the task force was tasked and they came up with a recommendation. But then my friend asked me a question. I said, what would you prefer? Would you prefer to get a relief on electricity, or would you prefer to get a relief on fuel tax? So that was a good question for me. And I was like, whoa, you know what? That's a good question. Let me get your perspective on that. I told you today I'm putting you on the block. So, okay, let me tell you what I responded to him. I told him, I said, I would prefer you give me the fuel tax relief, because it doesn't matter how much the electricity is, because at the end of the day, if the cost of fuel is going up, everything goes up.
Yep.
Including the same electricity, because they have to recover the expenses from the fuel cost. So everything will go up at the end of the day. So, and unfortunately, and I just saw another article from the Daily Nation about there was a motion in Parliament to protect Kenyans from banks that fail, depositors losing their money. But I don't even know how I can call them, but our MPs actually voted the motion down. So, you know, I'm trying to mix these things together to show the Kenyans that, hey, sometimes we focus on things that are, and it's great. I don't dispute. It's good to focus to find out why the charges of electricity are so high when they are not supposed to. But at the same time, do we focus on the small thing, or do we focus on something bigger that is impacting more people? Because honestly, kuna mtu huko kijijini hiyo stima anaionea kwa mbali hata ajui ni nini, but mafuta anajua the cost of fuel anywhere they travel. So that was my take. I don't know what your take will be.
I would, yes, thank you so much, Rama. We are live already.
Yes, we are live.
Oh, wow. So, thank you so much for that. I guess I would agree with your perspective that once you increase the tariffs on fuel, everything goes up. It hits back to even to the local mwananchi back in the village where I come from in Itigo. One is that most people do use fuel. We used to use mafuta taa. Sisi tunaita mafuta taa huko reserve.
Yes.
So once mafuta taa goes up, then that person feels the pain. Same as petrol, same as diesel, because if you want to do anything, you have to travel, you have to go to the shops. The local shopkeeper from the village has to bring things from town. And once the fuel goes up, then it is affecting even that local shopkeeper in the village. There are a lot of people, even in my village, electricity hasn't got in there. We still depend on the solars, which is actually amazing currently. If people can do that, put on use solar. It's cheaper, it's one-off, and it's cheaper. So I would prefer going for lowering the levies on fuel in regards to this perspective. But again, the government on the issue of electricity, because they are sole providers, walikuwa wanaitwaje hiyo kwa business, the monopoly. They are the only ones who are providing this. Yeah. If there was a way that, and the reason why the government is paying more to these people who are providing is that they don't want to supply out for private investors to put in input into this. Mm-hmm. 2, they don't want to lose the image and the implementation of all this. Once many people comes on board to issue this, it is hard to regulate. Yeah, it is hard to put in. If you want to increase the tariffs, then the other investors will say, look, what we are providing currently, we are confident and we are okay with it. Mm-hmm. But now, because the government is there providing by themselves, then they can put any price on it and no one can challenge them. Secondly, we need to understand who are these people. We need to get who are these people who are providing these services to the government. Look, there is windmill I remember in 2019, during the African Week in Australia, we had more than 20 MPs who were here. We had the Minister of Energy who was here, and the Assistant Minister of Energy, the Minister for Petroleum and Gas was here in Perth, Australia. And one of the things that we were discussing, I was in that conference, was renewable energy. Have mm-hmm. they implemented it? Are there things that they have already discussed on this? What have they done since then? Or they were just coming here for BADMs and all these kind of things. So these people should tell us when they come here, and the lot was learned, Buanaram, a lot yes. of things were learned. There were many investors who were looking into putting a lot of effort into these things in Kenya. Yeah. We've seen and we saw a lot of programs that are being run in Singapore and other parts of the world, like Canada, on issues of renewable energy. And one of the speakers did say that I've been to Kenya, I've done a feasibility study, and a lot of renewable energy can be fixed and can be used in Kenya. Mm-hmm. And our ministers were clapping. I still want to echo when there was an MP called Bukose. I think he's from Mount Elgon or somewhere there. Mm-hmm. That guy is smart. He was challenging every opinion, he was giving opinions, and he was always eager. Actually, he was among the people who was writing down the notes. I would wish if you get that guy, if you bring him on board on our next episode yes. or on our next meet, so that he tells us how far have they gone. Okay. Because I think quite often we just come, talk, share, attend these conferences, but we don't actually want to implement a lot of things. So I would agree with you. Let us lower the tariffs on petroleum and the rest. But again, let us know who are these people who are running this other from the side.
Thank you so much. Naona Bwana John Rugumi, welcome so much to the show. I'll get to you. Bwana Mitse, give us your take. We're starting with the energy sector and the challenges, electricity tariffs. The president is the recommendation by the task force to make some changes and, review the contracts agreement versus the fuel levy or the fuel tax that was increased, although it was suspended by the courts. But we don't know how far they are going to suspend that. Where do you think we should go? Where should we focus on? And like Ambassador said, do we need to pull more towards renewable energy, and how do we get there?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I'm not well versed when it comes to that, but I can only hinge on what Ambassador said and earlier on what you said. I think for me, I'm looking at this from a different perspective. I look at this that when you see an increase in an increase of price in something, it means someone somewhere in the government has a business somewhere and is pushing to make profits. That's the way I'm looking at it. I think, and the person who is going to bear that cost is the common mwananchi. And that's why I'm looking at it. Who owns the petroleum companies in Kenya? Who owns these companies, great companies that are selling these products that depend on the fuel. So looking from that perspective and investigatively, you might realize that either the president or the people who are highly connected to the president, the deep state in this case, are deeply involved, and they are the people who influence the rise and fall of prices, the increase and decrease, because they have interest. That's why you see there are people who you will never see talking in public, doing anything in public, but they put a lot of money behind certain candidates because this way they can be able to influence certain things. That's the way I'm looking at it from policy perspective. And because I think we are going to talk about governance today, from policy perspective, this is called, the word has just disappeared when I wanted to use it. It's called symbiotic or symbiosis relationship, where when I push you, it means that I will get something in return. Let me try to put it from a Western or a North American perspective. Yeah. Look at a company called Monsanto.
Yes.
Why do they have, which deals with food, patents and rights and stuff like that? Why do you think they have lobbyists all the way to the White House? Because they have interest. They are not politicians. They are not our usual politicians that we see. I am told that the president, I'm not sure, but I'm told and I've heard that the president of the Republic of Kenya is a business owner of financial institutions. I'm also told that he owns petrol stations. So you can imagine how many, because of his position, by also allowing these prices to increase, you can imagine how much you will get from it. And lastly, and I just wanted to touch it briefly. I don't want to go to the details of it because I'm not well versed on it. But the politicians, and that's why we tell people, whether you are a politician or not, whether you're going to vote or not, indirectly or directly, you will be affected. Mm-hmm. So it's better to go out there, vote for people that you think will bring a difference. And lastly, our typical politicians, sometimes they are puppets. They're puppets to amplify the interests of their family members. If it's not family members, they are friends, they are business partners, and so on. And I think that's my take tonight.
All right. Hey, thank you so much, Bwana Felix. Nakuona hapo karibu sana. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. Switching gears a little bit, guys, I don't know if you saw something trending this week. Some so-called tourists from Asian countries that were arriving in Kenya in large numbers, being driven by different buses to different places in Nairobi and Machakos County. And then nobody knows who they are. And they are not visiting any parks or anything, and then they disappeared. And then the government spokesman came out and said these are tourists. And then a few hours later, the internal security PS came out and said they are issuing a directive that to stop people who are in transit to, to cut back on the transit travelers from coming to Kenya. So which is which? Are these people tourists? Are these people on transit to another country? Yep. And are we risking our own people?
Pole sana, jana nilikuwa kwa mat, nilifika mtaani kama nimelala hivi.
Somebody is not on mute, so
ndio naishughulikia kiasi kuna stuff na
my friend, can you mute yourself?
Can you mute yourself? Graphics.
Guys, go ahead and mute, please. Huh? Thank you. All right. So, he hasn't muted yet.
Is there a way you can mute? Someone can mute another person?
They are the hosts, so they have to mute themselves.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, Bwana Kib, thank you so much. I see you. Thank you for joining. My guys at the studio, can you mute yourself because we can hear you on your phone calls? Thank you. So, Bwana Kib, tell me, hao matourists wenye wanakuja na waendi kwa park, waendi mahali popote, wanawekwa kwa some hotels mysteriously and then they disappear. What's going on? One side of the government says are tourists, the other side of the government says we need to cut down on the people and issue a directive that these people need to be investigated and taken out. Let me start with my incoming Senator Ebu. Give us a comment. And we were talking before you guys joined, and maybe you caught it or not, about the energy sector, electricity tariffs being lowered or costs being lowered, but the fuel cost and taxes are going up. Which one affects the other? So the two combination of two topics that you guys may address today.
Well, thank you so much first for the opportunity and the platform again this morning that we are discussing on current issues and issues that are affecting the common mwananchi. My name is always, I'm Felix Chalaite, and as an aspirant Baringo County senatorial position. Well, I want to put my weight on the discussion and say, first on the electricity. There, I think yesterday I saw the president said he's instructed the reduction of the electricity cost by 30%.
Yes.
Well, I don't know because it's just very mediocre, and I don't know how our country is functioning. Because yes, it's why now? Why has it? The issue about electricity has been there since memorial, and when it's almost the tail end, that's when they see it's right time to do it. You know, they should have done this from the beginning. And another thing, I was having a discussion with someone, and as you are aware, you know, Kenya at the moment, we are using the geothermal. There's those new geothermal generation they're integrated to the national grid or to provide to the electricity. So that tells you we shifted from, I think, not before between 5 and 6 years ago. That's when we came up with that's when the factor of using the thermal came in, or I think 10 years. But before that, we're using the diesel powered hydraulics, and we're using the water, the dams, and there used to be so many fluctuations. When the water is low, the electricity goes high. When diesel is high, electricity is high. Right now, we are at the point where we're using, with the new now geothermal, it's really increased our national grid of electricity. And you expect that with the input of the new geothermal generating power, the cost of electricity should go down. But unfortunately, you see where we are. And then another thing, we are exporting power to Uganda. Oh. Not that we have the surplus, we are exporting power that we don't have. And then we're buying we're exporting to Uganda and then buying back from Uganda. It doesn't make sense. And then now this one from yesterday, the president says 30%. You wonder, what are we really in? I don't know, but as I was saying before, we are just in a chaotic country. Everyone wakes up in the morning and does what wants to do, and that's the order of the day. You know, there is no systematic approach to this problem. And I think another thing, the reshuffle of the cabinet secretaries, I think that happened yesterday as well. Those are just cosmetic theatrics that are being played to us Kenyans and the country as well. Changing this cabinet reshuffles now is not going to make the cost of electricity go down, the cost of fuel go down. All this, if they want to have a conclusive solution on this, they should start with They should deal with the cartels in the power sector, in the fuel sector, the brokers, and then now we deal with this one by one, and by that, Kenyans are able to see the effective, cheap electricity power to their houses. And now at the moment we have a solar coming in. You know, there are solar plants, there are wind farms coming out. Those are easy other remedies of reducing power, but unfortunately, that does not see the future of the day.
So, thank you so much. I don't know if. Okay, go ahead. Looks like you lost our audio kidogo, but go ahead.
On the part of the tourist, I don't know which transit takes 2 weeks in the world. You cannot. I've been waiting.
It's transit, and I don't know, but the transit is for 2 weeks. I don't know which kind of transit is it, and the country that it's from Middle East, you know, it doesn't make sense. I've traveled, I think, not a lot, but a few times here and there, but the transit that makes sense. You cannot tell me you're from Pakistan going to Saudi Arabia and you're coming to Kenya for transit for 2 weeks. Less than 4 hours flight, transit, how? You know, these people should stop lying to us. It's either they have gotten business and they have seen opportunities to make money as a government, and that's how they're trying to corner us with tourist thing. That's for me, it's not making sense. And it will never make sense. Yeah, that's my take.
Hey, my brother wanna keep. The floor is yours. Give us your take.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yes, let's talk about electricity. I think a lot of Kenyans don't know how they do the pricing in Kenya. I think there are about 4 categories of pricing the electricity in Kenya. 2 categories deals with commercial entities, and the other category deals with private, watu wa nyumbani, electricity. So when they do that, there's also it depends on the amount of electricity you consume.
Yeah.
So the more you consume, the more you pay for it, and there's a grouping of a class of charging the electricity. Now, then there's another issue of levies that are charged on. I think the last time I checked, we had about 6 levies being levied on electricity and any other power stuff in Kenya. So the problem with what the president is doing is taking back to Moi's era, where you make a policy on the roadshow, and that's exactly what he did. A country that has regulations, a country that has every government entities that deals with certain policies. You come here and you command, as a president, the reduction of pricing. I don't know how, unless he's a magician and then he brings everything down. I don't know how that works, but in every country, a serious country or any serious business, that cannot happen. Now, a lot of people also don't know one thing. In Kenya, electricity, Kenya Power and Lighting, whatever the company, the entity is, they buy electricity from private entities and they put it to their grid. And that's where the pricing actually is messed up. So some actually don't supply, they supply air. Mm-hmm. No electric coming to the line, but they're charging. And guess who those people are? They're the oligarchs, the ones that they were meeting the other day with we know who. Mm-hmm. Those are the people who are charging Kenyans for nothing they have supplied. I hope and I wish Kenyans would actually develop the policies that we have here in Australia, where government is encouraging people to use solar power and other renewables in their houses. If many Kenyans do that, one day Kenya Power will wake up and realize we no longer need them. And that's how they wake up. So we need Kenyan people, especially those of us who are here, we need to show that we can actually be dependent on renewable energies, and we don't need the Kenyan Power Lighting lines in our houses for us to have electricity.
All right.
That's how you teach the government a lesson.
Yes.
Yes. So I think I will let it there for the electricity issues. We'll deal with the next issue. I had something comprehensive about NHIF and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
All right.
I'll answer that later. Yep.
We'll come to that. So I see my favorite governor is here. Governor Mushendu, nasikia wewe ndio umeweka matourist kwa hiyo hoteli yako hapo nyuma bwana. Can you tell us what's going on?
Good morning, Arama.
Good morning to you.
Mimi
It's
niko
good to see you.
salama. I am in Meru in Central Imenti constituency.
Wow.
I've got a by-election down here in a ward called Kiagu Ward.
Uh-huh.
And our party has a candidate, a very young man, 30 years old.
Okay.
So I am managing the campaigns down here.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope you clarify which party, because the last time we checked,
yes,
you were in UDA, and it looks like you've jumped.
It is very important to put records straight. I have never, ever been a member of UDA. If you remember in Kiamba, because I know Kip is referring to the Kiamba by-elections, myself and Moses Kuria had a candidate, and we sat down with the deputy president, and we thought that as the Hustler Nation, we should not have two candidates that will work against us. So for the avoidance of doubt and to refresh people's memory, we dropped our candidate and offered to help the UDA candidate win. And after we won the city in Kiambaa, watu wengine hapo wakaanza heshima dogo dogo hapo, disrespected Moses Kuria. They thought some of us did not play a vital role. And we decided let us have a duel in Kiago, in Meru, and teach them a lesson so that they know that we work with systems. And it's unfortunate that the same UDA had rushed to IEBC to have our candidate disqualified. In fact, the stay orders were issued by the High Court on Monday that kept our candidate on the race. Nonetheless, it is sibling rivalry. Unakumbuka watukuwa wadogo, when we were growing up, we would fight for food and everything. So it is nothing out of the norm. So that's what we are doing here. But I would like to make my contribution, because I don't have a lot of time, on the energy thing that I've heard you guys speaking about.
Yes.
And I think this country, I don't know, we have the most stupid energy policy this world has ever seen. How do you export electricity to Uganda as if you have had enough of it in this country? You have some 7 companies that have been selling air to Kenya Power, and they are being paid billions. I will, before the end of this show, I will get you the records. They are, as my friend Kip has said, 7 of those companies are owned by the same niggas that were in Safari Park the day before yesterday, trying to tell us how they will make someone president. I mean, at what time, at what point are we going to change the energy policy in this country and come up with a comprehensive energy policy that is going to serve this country? If you go to places like Rwanda, if you go to places like Malawi, they are embracing what Kip is saying, renewable energy. The government has subsidized the cost of importing things like solar, things like equipment that store renewable energies, so that their citizens can be able to afford electricity. Today, in Northeastern, there is no reason why these people should be behind when you have a God-given sun to provide energy, and they can drill water and plow those and plow the land. But it is just that the government lacks a comprehensive energy policy. That is why you find that we are importing companies that have been corrupting, like the company that did the transmission line from Turkana, where we have the new solar energy, to bring it to Suswa. That company has been corrupting countries in the sub-Saharan Africa and in the third world nations. but somehow government continues to give these people that particular contract to do that electricity transmission line by Ketraco has been awarded to 3 companies. The final one is the one that has finished the line. The first company we awarded, we are still paying it because we actually took away the contract illegally from them. But in the first place, we gave them a contract knowing they did not have capacity to deliver. But bora tu ule broker ameweka kitu kwa mfuko, that is what drives this country, Arama. And I think for me is that for your information, Arama, I don't know you. My area of training is in electrical engineering.
Oh.
And I have been advocating, and I have even written a memo to the deputy president. We move away from what is called, one of the things that is making power costly in this country is when you have a centralized unit of distributing power in this country. That is why the other day we ended up with 17 hours of total blackout in Nairobi and environs, because we use one grid system to distribute electricity. If you go to places where keepers in Australia, there are multiple microgrids that every region is almost autonomous in terms of power production. That if power in Suswa goes or in geothermal goes, it does not affect another region. That way, productivity becomes affected, because that time we lost power for 17 hours, we lost about 14.4 billion shillings. Yeah. So I think for me that we need to regulate, we need to actually evaluate, sit down and think on how to cover the issues of energy, because I'll tell you, one of the major driving force that is driving investors out is the cost of production. And if we lower the cost of power, we can subsequently lower the cost of production and encourage more people to get into production. And I think for me, this government has its priorities inside out. Why do we need why do we need the overpass from Nairobi to JKIA? And you hear that we will be paying a toll of $15 in this country. How? That makes sense. So I would say that we need to think what are the priorities, because I'm telling you, I'm in Meru today. It is 8, and the temperature is already high enough. You can imagine if we were talking about renewable energy here. If you go to Limuru, where I come from, the potential of wind energy is on another level. So it's only that government does not want to introduce microgrid, because if they introduce microgrid, I can get Arama, I can keep another investors to come and invest in a wind energy project in my area. And we supply the power within Limuru constituency. We pay government taxes, we make money, and this country's GDP goes up. So I think for me is that we have those oligarchs who only think about themselves. Today, if you elevate Raila Odinga, they are elevating Raila Odinga because Raila Odinga is a sure bet. He has been with these oligarchs from 1963. Today, if Raila becomes president, he will not think about your son Joel. He will think about the son of Uhuru Kenyatta, the son of William Ruto, the son of Sue. I mean, we have to accept that these oligarchs are not out to help this community. Ushinde ukituambia sijui they pay 80% of our taxes. They pay 80% of our taxes because we allowed them in the first place to steal money from us. You can hear how the chairman of Equity Bank would not even refer to State House as State House. Did you hear his statement? That when Raila Odinga occupies plot number 1 near Caledonia, these are people who knows every piece of Nairobi, of land in Nairobi, because they are the masterminds. So, I mean, otherwise, I just wanted to join you guys because I'm heading out to the campaign field.
Okay.
And yes,
before you leave, I would have a question for you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just want to make an observation, and those who come from Alabama know what any language he used, and it's not a very good. I'm not sure if you know the the background of any language, any language. And I usually, when I see the Black people using any language among us themselves, it kind of offends me as a person, knowing the background and history of it. And as a leader, that's one language that I would really appreciate that we discourage. So the next thing, you mentioned a few things here that caught my attention.
Yes, sir.
It's not. I think Kenya is an ambitious country. We give that credit, and that is what makes it unique in our within our region in East Africa, and that's why somehow it's generally acceptable when you look, with the Western countries and so on. I think there is not a problem for us to have a toll road if that the government is going to collect revenue from it, and if it's going to easen and create a purpose for us to go, those who do not want to spend time on the BC and traffic. However, we have to look at the time which it has been built. We were in the middle of a pandemic. So the question is, was it urgent and important for us to have a toll road in the middle of a pandemic? That, for me, is what I look at and say that Kenya, if that toll road is going to expedite the collection of revenue that will overall impact the economy, so be it. There is not a problem. Now, are we building this road at the expense of the country, but the proceeds goes to some people's pockets? Those are some of the questions that I would look at. If you look at other countries like America, Canada, Australia, they have something called public-private partnership, so which is a very good model when it comes to in terms of investment and in terms of improving the economy of every country. However, I don't want to dwell on that, but I am keenly interested. The fact that you are involved and from your conversation here, you seem like you're very close to the top leadership. And I was wondering, do you think if all of us come in and point fingers to those leadership that we are very close, do you think we will make a difference? Don't you think if we are close to this leadership and we speak to them at a very close range and persuade them to employ the good thoughts that you have expressed here, the knowledge and that you have expressed? You are an engineer, and you pursued the same course, the same program that I pursued, the electrical and electronics engineering. Now, using your knowledge and the closeness to the leadership, what have you advised this leadership? And these are transferable skills that we are talking about, that our leaders, because our leaders could be very good they are maybe good in oratory skills, but they don't have the knowledge that you have. So using you who is close through proxy, we want us to get that knowledge to our leaders. What have you done as a person, as a leader, as an aspiring leader, through your connection to these people to influence the development that you so desire to have in our country?
One of the things that I have been pushing very hard, and one time when I was doing a presentation, Gerard Bitok was there. It is the financing of the green energy. We started a green energy corporation in this country. It is now a parastatal within the energy ministry. And one of the best way of reducing the cost of energy, it is for us to go green and to actually concentrate on green. Kenya is one of the countries that have not exploited the percentage of geothermal power we have has not even been exploited to 10% level. And therefore, one of the best way of starting to reduce the cost of energy in this country, it is for us to actually give finances to the Green Energy Corporation so that they can now continue advising and coming up with policies that will make Kenyans go green. One of our villages where I come from in Limuru, which is called Rwambori, we have sunk a borehole, and we deliberately decided to do it through a solar energy system. It has reduced the cost of buying water in that village from 54 shillings per unit to 32 shillings per unit. That means you have released some 20-something shillings from that common mwananchi for him to invest it elsewhere. And this has come because we have decided not to use the Kenya Power, because when you use solar system in a borehole, nobody is asking you for tax. Nobody in your bill, you notify the fuel cost, what cost. Have you ever tried? Those who are here in the country can tell you, when you buy a token, an electricity token, 56% of the money you have spent goes to taxes. Only 44% of that money goes to actually buying the real tokens. And this is the problem. We also need to have a very serious and deliberate way of reducing the tax burden on this country. It doesn't mean that taxing Kenyans more, it is the way we are going to grow our GDP. What if we tax less and expand the tax base instead? Today, in Kiambu County, where I come from, Kiambu County has a potential of collecting up to 9.6 billion shillings in terms of revenue per year. But you'll be surprised they only collect about 2.3 to 2.7 billion a year. But what is the reason? They have not made a deliberate move to actually expand the tax base in terms of expanding the the enforcement unit of the county, so that everybody pays tax. So I have done a number of petitions. I have done a petition to the Kenya Generating Company so that they can think of about getting an international investor to come and exploit our geothermal capacity, which is not exploited even up to 10%. I have done a petition to the outgoing Energy Minister, Charles Ketel, on funding the Green Energy Corporation so that they can explore the possibilities of us having our electricity up to the tune of 35% coming from green energy. These are some of the things we are doing. I'm just saying, Kenyans are bright. I'm not the only one who has been doing petitions. I know of a number of companies that are doing petitions to the Ministry of Energy, but they lack something called goodwill. They lack something called goodwill, and this is what is actually bringing issues in this country. We don't have people who are having goodwill to do this, and I think that majorly is a problem. I'm telling you, in the last 6 years, either personally or with other people, we have done over 22 petitions to different departments of government so that we can address the cost of energy. I personally do not use electricity in my house. I've put solar panels up. I use solar energy in my house. I only have electricity just in case there is a hitch and there. I only pay what is called a standard tariff. Pumping water in the house. I am using solar. Heating water to my bathrooms in the house. I am using solar. And I think the government just needs to, we will not lose money by actually telling people to use green energy. We are just releasing the money they use energy to do other things. And those other things will still earn this government tax. So I think I will not define myself as someone who is very close to the seats of power, but I have my means of getting the messages to them. The only problem is that we have people who are not willing to reason. As long as that suggestion has not come from a certain oligarch, nobody is willing to listen to you.
All right. All right, Bwana Governor, thank you so much. I wish you all the best in your campaign efforts, and please make sure everybody's peaceful. Hatutaki kurusha mawe.
Hiyo tuliacha. We want a peaceful contest. Let's see kama governor. Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead, Bwana Mazra.
Kwa governor aende, alafu turudi kwa MP na senators hapa tuwagonge kama raia. Governor.
Yes, sir.
I live in Western Australia.
Yes, sir.
We are running on a surplus of 5 billion, even during this time of Corona.
See, we give you our account number.
Sio Kenya serikali.
Too many baby ya serikali tuwawekee kitu. But my question is,
Yes,
the
sir.
reason why we're running on a surplus is because we have mining companies, we have a sober premier who wakisema hii imefungwa, and the rest. Because with people who work hard, with citizens who listen, but importantly is the system and the companies.
Yes.
What happened? I
Yes.
know this is a repeat of what we might have discussed, but what happened to Talo?
Yes.
What happens to this? Our companies. Why don't we make profit? And Kenyans buy things. Kenyans invest. Kenyans pay their taxes. What happens with all this?
Let me tell you. One of the major problems in this country is cartels. I'll give you an example. If there is one ticket that is very costly, air ticket that is very costly in this country is the Kenya Airways ticket, and I know you people use Kenya Airways. In fact, most of the time I would prefer. No. I don't know. Probably you don't use it. You don't have to. I'm just saying. Sometimes I just prefer to use probably KLM or Qatar Airways because the Kenya Airways ticket is very high. But at the end of the year, you hear that Kenya Airways has made a loss of 17 billion, supposedly loss of 17 billion. I mean, how do we even end up paying hefty salaries to those people who lead Kenya Airways and it's still continuing to make profit? Now, are you aware that we even pay the wife of the MD of Kenya Airways some 500,000 entertainment allowance? Because that the MD left his country to come and manage Kenya Airways that is making 17 billion loss a year. And when I say that this government is led by the most stupid people, somebody would think that I am just talking nonsense. I am not. I am just telling you, Alfred, it is not that this country does not make money. It is cartels that have deliberately decided to corrupt Kenya Airways so that they can take over. You will not be surprised, and I say this without fear. The people, the person who has hired the biggest chunk of airplanes to Kenya Airways is the First Family. And when the First Family and those who are in power get involved in government parastatal, doing business with government parastatal, there is something that is called state capture. I don't know whether you studied something called state capture. That is what is killing this republic, state capture. The biggest industry in this country have the interest of those who are in power. Talk of transport industry. The serious oligarchs of this country who are also ruling this country are in that business. Talk of milk business. The same people ruling this country are in that business. Talk of alcohol business. They have recently taken over alcohol business. I mean, you cannot move on with what is called state capture at will. I mean, how do you expect them to actually regulate the market, which they are 100% in control? We have recently moved Kenya Meat Commission from agriculture to the defense. And you know, in parliament, you cannot question the budget of defense. When it comes there, you just pass it the way it is. Who are the biggest exporters of meat in this country? Again, the same oligarchs that were in Safari Park. And I think for me, until we deal with that particular issue of state capture, this country will continue to complain and complain and complain, because as far as they are concerned, Mushendo is a nobody. He can have a million ideas, but as long as he does not sit at the seat where these oligarchs sit, I am just backing.
Well, that's any follow-up, Bwana Ambassador, any follow-up question, or we good? Okay, that means he's good. Thank you so much, Bwana Governor. He has left.
Thank you, Governor. I think that was well explained.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you so much. Bwana Roland, karibu sana. Thank you so much for joining us. Guys, so I don't know. I think you mentioned something about NHIF that you wanted to share. Let me give you that chance. talk about it, and let's see other people ideas or views on that.
So yes, about 3 or 4 days ago, we heard about the new NHIF, policy or bill to be presented to Parliament. Of course, the ASLA movement are the ones sponsoring it, and they say it's for a good reason, that the electricity, that was the last mile connection that was done because they were connecting ASLAs to electricity. And now that, the next thing that, somehow BBI left in the dark is something to do with health insurance. I don't know anybody in this group who has never been affected by the health insurance or the health bills in Kenya. I'm sure everybody in this group has been affected.
Yes.
On a daily basis, we get arambes of 5 to 10 arambes because of health-related issues. And yes, every Kenyan is one sickness away from being bankrupt, his children bankrupt, because once a parent is bankrupt, the children are bankrupt already, especially in our country. So even as those who are here, we really struggle to keep up with the hospital bills in Kenya. And thank goodness, because of NHIF, yes, it's not covering the things that actually matter. Somehow they cover the so-called bed in hospital. Sometimes they cover certain treatments, but not entirely. Yes, it's better than nothing, but there's still a lot of work to be done. Now, with the amount of money that's coming in now, that the people are mandated, it's mandatory. It's just like Obamacare, where you mandate people to pay, and then that way, with the number of people being expanded, it means more money to be able to be distributed. Hopefully, a lot of people don't get sick. That way, there's more money. Now, the problem there's no problem with that, but the problem comes in if you're running NHIF like you're running NSSF. There's a lot of government portfolios of government parastatals that needs to be run like Safaricom. If you put someone at NHIF to be run like a private entity, you give a CEO good salary. You give them independence in terms of running the business to make it profitable, quote unquote profitable. Because you make NHIF profitable in terms of where you invest the money. They get a lot of monies, but bad investment, bad management, poor management of resources, and lack of reporting. If you make these companies or these government parastatals do the reporting every 3 months, and there's every line by line is questioned, and there's a rigorous approval before you pay anyone, and those things are actually in the public domain. That's how you will handle the issues that they are bedeviling the Kenyan people, especially healthcare. If you collecting all this money from someone who's running border, because that's 500 a month, which means 6,000 a year. 500 a month is equivalent to a few 100 shillings or 50 shillings a day. 50 shillings a day for a border rider, Mama Mboga, is a lot of money.
Yes.
But I can tell them for free it's worth to invest that money in your healthcare, because really I've seen the effects health bills in Kenya can do to families. I know of a family who's owing 4 million and they don't have even 1 acre of land. What are they going to do? Nobody works in that family. So really, it's a serious matter, and I hope those who came up with this idea are not doing it just for the purposes of, getting votes. Just like we did with the laptop, just like we did with the stadiums. They said 5. Just like we did with, a good example, a good study case is NSSF. the way it's been run. And I hope the policy, and if one day if I get to parliament, the policy number one that we have to change is how you actually do the retirement money for Kenyan people. Here in Australia, it's industry. So, for example, police circle. You know, police circle in Kenya have a lot of money. You know, teachers union in Kenya have a lot of money. All they need to do is to have someone, an investment portfolio within that, what is it called? Union. When they collect that money, they invest somewhere where they earn real good money returns. So instead of, you know, letting people loot left and right and center. So we have a lot of things to do, especially when it comes to healthcare and just like everything else. But I hope we focus on this healthcare, especially the NHIF, mandatory uptake of it. I will give Nafasi the others.
All right. Thank you so much. Bwana Ronald. Okay. I'm giving you a chance to give your views and opinions. And karibu sana. Might have to unmute.
Yes,
Yes.
Joel.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. Now, we are talking about something about Kenya Power.
Yes.
High energy. I want to read for you very shocking, very shocking analysis I've seen here. You see, like somebody said before, I don't know if it's Governor or Alfred, who said the problems we have is the cartels we have in our parastatals.
Yes.
And it's very true. Let me show you the report of 2020, Kenya Power Annual Report 2020. Kenya Power bought a unit from KenGen at 5 shillings, but later sold the unit at 16 shillings. Joel,
3 times.
we are selling 3 times of the unit we buy. Now, another very shocking events happening is we bought a unit from a company, one company called Trump Power at 173 shillings. We are doing what? We are buying at 173 shillings. Another, there's Gulf Power. We are buying at 122. It's in the report. It's in the report. We are buying at 122. Now, what is more shocking is that KenGen supplied 72% of power, but only received 48% of money paid to power producers. What does that tell you? We have companies that is being run by cartels. They are paying themselves. They are skyrocketing the prices of the consumers.
Okay.
So who are the beneficiaries here? It's them. So there is nothing like expensive power production. Governor has left. He is the one, he said the right thing. We are being run. And every parastatal, you talked of the issue of NHIF, it was either Alfred or Felix.
Keep.
It was Kip. There is no parastatal in our country at the moment who doesn't run some very fun issues. You remember the issue we had at Kenyatta National Hospital?
Yes.
Where they buy, they procure things, but their prices, only God knows. So unless we find out who are these beneficiaries in the energy production sector, we will never have any solution. Just like the the energy. You saw when those people appear before Parliament, you will realize that actually it's about the people who benefit from those taxes. Because when you see the taxes when they are landing at the port of Mombasa, between Mombasa and Nairobi, wonders happen in the way, and we don't know. We don't know what is really happening between Mombasa and Nairobi. We don't know what's really happening. But whoever is, you see, even when the country, there was the Turkana power plant, the Turkana wind power. Mm-hmm. When I saw that project and the money that was put in that project, a lot of money, more than 300 billion. It was put there so that it could lower the prices of energy, power supply in the country. It could be an alternative source. Mm-hmm. 4 years down the line, what is happening? We are going, it won't be wonders that next year, Kenya Power will be selling at 20. It won't be wonders. Mm-hmm. There are sacrificial ships. I don't believe that there is somebody who can be pointed out today. You say, this one was the CS of energy, and he's the one who was responsible. There's a sacrificial ship. I don't believe that's just one person, because this one person is under the president and it can be fired anytime, leave alone mm-hmm. being transferred. This is a person who can be fired. So these cartels have been running even more than 10 years, more than 20 years. Until we get who are these cartels, until we realize who are running our parastatals, because definitely this is not the government. The people running those parastatals is not the government. I remember when there is a lady who was in Kenya at that time. When she tried to say this was happening, she was transferred. It didn't finish a week. Mm-hmm. It didn't finish a week. So unless we know who are running these parastatals, we will never have a smooth running of those parastatals. We will continue suffering. NSSF, the same thing. You remember the other time we had a problem with NSSF, 300 billion missing, cannot be accounted for. And we have Office of the Auditor General. What is happening? What are we not being told that these people know?
Yeah. Wow.
So, my last bit, I will repeat it again and again. Not unless we know the cartels in these parastatals, we will never have a solution.
Make a follow-up.
Yes.
Just an addition.
Yeah.
Bana Felix, before I give you a chance to give your comment, guys, while we are tying down that, do you think it's high time we involve our parliament and the judiciary to come up with laws that actually severely penalize people who steal public funds? Not fining somebody 10% of what they have stolen, but refund every bit of money that you have stolen, and on top of that, we punish you more. Jail time and fines, and refund all the money.
Yeah.
Bwana Felix.
Wanted to make a follow-up maybe before Felix comes in.
Okay.
I think it's in regards to the gentleman who just left. You know, sometimes back I was watching the Wazees from the Kalenjin. They put Murkomen on the spot and they said, "I kateri ni mnyama gani?" Because they were talking about the cartels for Mahindi and all that. Everyone is saying cartel, cartel, cartel. It's very difficult to know who is the cartel. So we can come here and talk about cartel, and tutamalizia tu kuongea juu ya cartel. So hii cartel, I want to go vile wale wazee walisema, waliambia Murkomen utakimbia na hauwezi angalia nyuma. I think you have seen that clip somewhere. But that being said, the cartels are our leaders, the top, the government, the presidents, the executive, the judiciary. The executive steals, the judiciary protects, parliament legislates, parliament is used, and the Senate as houses of legislation of the very interest of the top. So there is not any harm of the government that is genuine, that we can say that it has integrity or has performed their fiduciary duties as expected. But that being said, I want to follow up with what Kipchumba was talking about healthcare. Healthcare is a very delicate, it's very fluid. Even the Americans are still struggling with it when it comes to the healthcare. In fact, maybe the country that has the healthcare, maybe it's Canada. Canada has a very good healthcare system, even to actually foreigners. And I don't know about Australia. I haven't studied about the healthcare system in Australia.
It's the same.
It's the same. So it's pretty good. And when you look at the only challenge, and I think Kenya is capable of doing that, the only impediment that we have in any development, in any progress, is corruption. All this legislation that you see in Parliament, the rationale behind every legislation, it is just a conduit of channeling government resources or public resources to the very people who want the resources out. I always say, we have the Huduma number. Is it a good thing to have? Cosmetic, yes. Was it urgent and important to have at the time that we are struggling economically? People don't have money, it was pushed. I think for us, one thing we need to look at every other time, when our politicians have an agenda, know that they will channel the funds. So for me, I wanted to say that the healthcare of even the NHIF, I've heard that people pay and sometimes don't get the service. Someone asked, where is the Auditor General? Where is the ombudsperson or the ombudsman in every sector? I'm sure there is that person who is supposed to be the oversight. So for me, the way I would think, for example, the way Canada, the healthcare system in Canada is structured. Like, for example, basically like what you talked about, the circles, actually, Kipchumba. There is a government official, let's say, even if it's personal, even if it's an organization, even if it's a financial institution, talk about Kenya Commercial Bank, even if they have a circle, there is a government oversight authority that will look into it and make sure that the money that you have collected, if it's making profits, there are rules of engagement that are actually set, and the oversight comes from the government, that the money is not misappropriated or abused or channeled to other areas that they were not intended. When we start having that and knowing that there are layers of oversight that will not at any point coordinate or collude to misappropriate the public funds, then those agencies will work independently, knowing that there is an eye, a big brother somewhere. Think about when you talk about anti-terrorism and money laundering. That's why we have an overall institution somewhere that will look down the financial institutions and they will audit them through the compliance departments and make sure that they do that which they are supposed to do. And if they fail, the penalties are severe. So if we do that, and we have independent organizations, independent agencies that oversight, that are not influenced by the president, the Prime Minister of Canada cannot influence the agency somewhere. because it's independent and can come out to the public and say, you know what, the prime minister is asking me to do this, and for that reason, I am resigning. And the public outcry will make the prime minister not to do that. So I think if you look at agencies like NACADA, the anti-corruption, people paid a lot of money. So now back to the healthcare system. I think we should go back to the bracket system of taxation. So the higher you get, the more you get, the more you are taxed. And that money, for example, in Canada, I pay a lot of taxes. But looking back, when I see people coming here, like who are refugees and they get healthcare coverage, who are visitors, and they cannot go to the hospitals and return because they can't afford healthcare, you know, I feel okay. I can see my money working. So I think the oversight, the corruption, and the protection of those agencies is the problem. Once we take care of that, every agency will be productive and we'll have efficiency.
Thank you so much. Bwana Felix, looks like finally it's your turn.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to say something before I jump to the current topic about energy and cartelism and that is happening in Kenya. There's a saying. They're saying that there's something that I've noticed this week, and I'll say it is very devastating to that. You know, when the oppressors, when the people who oppress you want to be your spokesperson, it is very, very, very interesting. And you accept to be spoken about, to be spoken by them as they continue to oppress you day by day. It becomes very, very shocking. You know, you as a person and I as a person should and the other many who are being oppressed should wake up and define their political path, because it's like you're being headed to a slaughterhouse, and yes, you accept being headed and you accept to be chopped off your head by the person who is oppressing you, saying, you know, I'm going to look for a good land of honey and milk, but in the other way they're heading you to a slaughterhouse, and you agree. You know, that is where Kenyans are at the moment. When I see people meeting and they're saying they're speaking in the interest of Kenyans in a hotel, they are billionaires. They are the people who are doing they're in banking business, they're in insurance, they're in every other sector in Kenya, you know, and they tell you they want to speak for you. You know, when you're suffering, I'll tell you, the banking industry, the insurance, and which one is it? The auctioneers. Mm-hmm. Those three are giving people. They are making even people die of stress, depression. You know, and it's a sector that is running under I don't know how they live with this, knowing that you're taking someone's property, not because they don't want to pay, because they cannot pay, and you're not willing to negotiate with them. You know, I've had so many stories, my friend, with the banking, insurance, and the auctioneers. They collaborate and see how they can take your car, how they can sell your land, how they can sell your plot, which you have worked for almost your lifetime. Mm-hmm. And because you only left with a 50,000 loan, I'm 100,000, I'm 200, but they want to frustrate you and see what percentage can they make out of your worked and money. When they sell it, then you're dying of stress. There's no other option. You don't see the value of living anymore. You know, that is something that we need to tell our people. We will not accept and do not accept be led by hyenas in the name of chiefs, or in the name of businessmen, in the name of foundations, to choose for you leaders who will protect their interests. When they get in, they continue eating and slaughtering you and putting you in the frying pan proper. No. So anyway, on the other hand, on the other topic, on the legislation, you know, the problem is we have a very good how do I say, we have a very good parliament, but the parliament has been turned to an auction center.
Wow.
the highest the highest bidder comes. The more money you have, the more policies will frame to suit you as a business, as a cartel. You know, Parliament people even are given 10,000 and they go. I heard one day Moses Kuria saying they were given 10,000 to go and vote for a bill that was favoring someone. You know, I think there was this one that even there was that dam that killed people in Solai, the Indian guy.
Yes.
And it was very interesting because when it came to Senate, there was so much pressure, there was so much money poured, but I think they stood by what is right. At the end of the day, that is what counts. Because if your conscience can if you stand and say and say this is against all the pressure and stand with the principle, your conscience, that is when we'll head somewhere in the country. But if we are led by the stomach, if we're led by what can I make, what deal can I make out of here, there is no law we're gonna pass that is gonna help the Mwananchi at all. I'll tell you for a fact, Parliament. Look, the other day when BBI was passing, not that BBI was not a good document, but it passed because of pressure, because of money that was poured in Parliament. These are things that are out there, you know. So we unfortunate. I want to say this Parliament that is now in has been the worst. It has disappointed Kenyans to the. I think there's no other parliament that has failed to do its mandate than the 12. I think it's the 12th parliament. I hope the 13, the new parliament that is coming in will be able to first elect people able to elect leaders who have integrity, despite even apart from integrity, who are able to stand on their feet. You know, you can elect a leader who is swayed in and about. Imagine give your MP being given 10,000 to go and say, this bill I protect. You know, really, you know, it is so shaming. It is so disappointing.
Yeah.
As a country, I hope and I pray that the coming, you know, if Parliament is weakened, there is no other oversight body that is there to protect the interests of the Kenyans. It is weakened, and the executive have the power to manipulate their way. The judiciary, at least they are trying their, you know, but Parliament represents the Mwananchi. If it is only part and parcel that stands strong. All these stories we are hearing from energy, from fuel, from corruption, to laws that are not, you know, they can all go there and make something and make better laws to protect the interest of everyone. Yeah, that's my take.
Thank you so much, Bwana Felix. When I keep something that an idea that came to me, and I will use an example in the US. Every single department or government agency has what we call an inspector general, who actually is an independent person, although most of them are appointed by the president, but they actually operate independently, and they come and investigate and review what each department or each cabinet office is doing. And if there is something wrong, they can actually refer cases to the Justice Department for prosecution, criminally or civil. Do you think it's high time we have something like that instead of depending on just one person, the Auditor General? Do you think it's high time we start having these independent people, even though they may have to report to the Auditor General, but we have each department or each ministry, so to speak, has its own independent auditor or inspector general, for that matter, that can actually focus for that ministry. And this also would include the Department of Defense, because if we don't know what somebody is doing, we can't criticize. You can't challenge. You cannot know whether they are doing the right thing or not. We just give money and say, hey, we know you're doing the right thing. It's top secret. We can't talk about it. Anytime you're spending public funds, we need to talk about it. We need to know we are not saying you give us details of how many weapons you bought and what type of weapons you bought, or how many trainings you did, or the taxes of the training. No, but we need to know how was the money spent. You say it's weapons, fine. Then you can go in camera sessions and provide additional details. But at least we should have something in public that shows how money is spent. Maybe that will be able to solve this issue of misappropriation of funds in departments or ministries for that. What's your take?
Look, I think we have a lot of checkers, of those, for lack of a better word, people who can check or regulate. So, for example, anything to do with nurses or doctors or anything to do with healthcare, we have healthcare regulators in Kenya. And those regulations also has to meet standards of certain countries. So we have also, say, immigration. Okay, let's focus on healthcare. Look, for example, the other day, because of vaccines, if Kenya had used all the vaccines that are available in the market, Kenya would have been barred from, or Kenyans would have been barred from flying to certain countries because of questionable vaccines that they received, right? But because of regulations, and those are the importance of regulations, you are able to now work together with other countries. Now, let's focus on how you said, say certain departments in government. I'm sure you know KEBS, Kenya Bureau of Standards.
Yes.
I'm sure you know Ombudsman. I'm sure every Kenyan knows DCI, and every Kenyan knows police. If all these were working, I'll give you an example. Anyone say, let's say I'm tasked to collect taxes for the county of Nandi, and I walk into your offices, or you're supposed to come to my office to pay the tax. I give you the receipt. But you know what happens in Kenya? You will not come to my office. I will come to your workstation, and I will look around, turn around, who's there. If nobody's there, I'll part with few shillings, and you'll not pay taxes that you're supposed to pay. So even if you come up with all these people who are checking what, even if you have paper trails in Kenya, even if you have evidence that can be tabled, and the police and the DCI and regulators are not doing their job, there's absolutely nothing that's going to happen. The problem, or the onus, is on the people who have been given the job to do their job. Unfortunately, everyone in Kenya is bribable. I don't know how we get to that point, but it's very saddening. And I mean, even if you want, and it's sad to say this, a lot of you have traveled. Saa zingine hii itabidi niongee kwa lugha. Saa zingine unataka yellow fever or whatever it's called.
Certificate, yes.
Certificate. Hiyo kitu unapewa bwana.
Yeah.
Si eti unakuwa. Si eti wanacheck. And that's the unfortunate part. Now, can you imagine hata hii ya corona sijui certificate hii?
Yeah.
If they require corona COVID-19 vaccination passport, my friend, Kenya itapatikana everywhere.
Yeah.
so no matter who you put where,
yeah,
and the laws you come with and the regulators, nothing's gonna happen. KEBS, for example, they come here with stories ya Matiang'i na kutuambia it is just sugar iko na some chemicals
mercury, yeah,
are expensive than the sugar themselves. Who's gonna put mercury on sugar? And mercury is so far expensive than sugar itself.
Yeah.
What's the point? What's the purpose of that? So the problem in Kenya is the cartels, and I hate using that word because it's like saying corruption. You know, corruption is thievery or robbery. Yes. So the moment you use corruption, it's sanitized. We've made it look less harmful, and it's even the worst. It's better to steal a chicken than corruption. So no amount of regulation, no amount of checks and balances can be effective if the people who are in those offices are not themselves disciplined.
Wow. Well, I don't know. Vincent, are we hopeless or do we have hope?
We do have hope. Kenyans are very unique people. We're very able, quick to adapt to any situation. I think it's about time to adapt, that we do things straight, that we realize, and this is what I tell people all the time, that our generation, let us not, just like these other people, look at the amount of resources, mineral resources that these other countries have. They don't want to use it for themselves. They live for their generations to come. That's why they are still taking from other countries but still back here home, they leave a lot of resources, not because they can't tap into them, but because they believe that the future generations will be the beneficiaries. So until that time, Kenya, we change the tune and start sacrificing for other people and the future generation, and make the right decisions, and ensure that even if you're by yourself, make the right decision, do the right thing. I think that is the very time that we will be more hopeful and will be more functional, verifiable, and accountable. I think if you look at the agencies, if you look at, in terms of policies, and I'm not sure what time you're going to switch into the role of diaspora in shaping the governance. I think that's one.
It's the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can segue to that.
If you look at the other countries, the way, if you look at in terms of, and I spoke about this last time, in terms of policy making, Kenya has been working with the government of Canada for many years. The School of Public Administration, in conjunction with the Policy Canada, they have been working together. Policies, good policies. So it's not that we don't have policies. It's the implementation of the very same policies that we have. Think about it like this. Haven't you seen that those who are supposed to be the custodians of the law, they are the very same that are the ones who violate the law? The lawyers are the the thieves. I keep telling people this. It's quite unfortunate. I happen to be one, but you know what? Looking through, I've had the opportunity to deal with some lawyers back home. There is no integrity. Yet, even when you report them to the regulating body in Kenya, nothing can be done. They don't treat their clients with decorum. They are not accountable. Yet they are the officers and custodians of the law, right? So how do you expect them, if they rob the common mwananchi, how do you expect them to enforce or apply or interpret the law, that which is supposed to be the eyes, right, of the poor mwananchi? So if you look at the parliament, if you look at our politicians, they are lawyers, most of them. They are they have business background. Why? They use the knowledge to rob wananchi. So until we begin to realize that if we invest in Kenya, if we build Kenya, if we are proud of our country, and just like look at the country like United States of America, if you serve in the army, you are a hero. But if you serve in Kenyan army, you're not a hero. You're a slave. You're not regarded as someone, as a civil servant. If you're a civil servant in Kenya, you are a small god who should be worshipped. When you walk into the office, everyone wants to be worshipped. When will we have that understanding that when you are a civil servant, you're supposed to be accountable and answerable to the people that you're supposed to serve? I once walked to a police station, and I walked into the OCS office, and I wanted to be heard. And he told me, walk out. And I said, why should I walk out? The last time I checked, this is a public office that is here, that pays you for you to serve the public. And he said, if you don't walk out, my friend, I'm gonna lock you because you're causing you have disorderly conduct within the police station. I say, well, if you can do that, that's okay, because I know that I'm protected under the Bill of Rights, Article 33 of the 33, 34 and onwards of the Kenyan Constitution protects and gives that right. So what I'm trying to say is that this culture, and this is why you said earlier, what can we do to start removing this culture? I think if we kill all the politicians and unless two things, I think. Either we kill all of them, we start training new ones, with new mindset, or we bring immunity. The word has disappeared, where we are just going to give, the word is going to disappear. But what I'm trying to say is, all these people who have stolen and invested abroad, why don't we have this conversation? Bring back to our country, invest in our country. We're going to give you immunity. We're going to protect you, because if you are going to invest in our country, keep the money to circulate in our country, we're going to give you immunity. We are going to forgive you for stealing from us, from taking, not actually, let us not even use stealing, from taking from us and investing somewhere else. We are encouraging you to invest back home. The moment we start investing back home, we'll boost the economy. So now let me quickly speak about the diaspora, because my friend Kipchumba here, who is aspiring to be a senator, I think, I don't know if he has tried before. If he's not, he's in for a shock, unless his gods are working well and will be going with him. But what I wanted to say, people hate people from diaspora, for nothing. Our friends back home hate people from diaspora. Yet the diaspora have played a role in trade, in investment, in transferable skills, And maybe let me speak a little bit. Maybe the question that maybe we should be asking ourselves as diaspora, what do states or countries expect from people who are in diaspora? Those of you who are in Australia, Canada, US, does the government depend on you in any way? In terms of policy making, yes, they depend on you. The skills. Look at Fred Matiang'i. He has done a nation. I usually say, in terms of as a national leader, he has done very well. I give him credit. Maybe as a Gusii leader, I don't see him. I don't give him any credit, because I don't think he has done a lot in terms of the region where he comes from. But in terms of a national leader, he has done extremely well. But look at the information technology. Bitange Ndemo was in the US. He did very well when the fiber optic cables were being laid, and that's why every Kenyan is able now to afford a cell phone and connectivity everywhere. These are people who are in diaspora. Look at Alfred Mutua, look at other people. All this, even Raila Odinga himself, Uhuru himself. These people who came abroad, they brought the skills that are transferable, and they are investors. So all I'm trying to say is that if we, the diasporas, they bridge the gap of lack of investment, they bridge the gap, lack of professionals, they bring in professionals to the country, they bring in exposure and things that we are doing. Yesterday or the day before yesterday, we were arguing in a forum, and we were talking about waste management. And I know someone was so bitter, telling me, how can, when in 2017 I was in the ballot box, and I ran on the agenda of bringing and building a waste management system, and they said, how can you talk about waste management? This is not practical. And my idea, and we argued, and we had a very bitter exchange, And one person said, wait a moment, do you realize that waste management can create employment opportunities?
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize that waste management can bring about investors, can bring about recycling, can bring about taking care of our environment, renewable energies that we are talking about. But because people have not traveled and have not seen things one-on-one, then they cannot speak of this. When you speak of this, it becomes a foreign language, and they start hating you, thinking that you are Americanized, you are Canadianized, they hate you for nothing. So what I'm encouraging our people back home, when people come home and say they have acquired skills, please give them a chance. That's why Waswahili walisema kutembea kwingi kuona mengi. That's why when ukiona ukileta nyumbani inasaidia, na ikisaidia haisaidii mtu mmoja. Sometimes people think that allow me, kama unajua diaspora ni wa kuosha wamama, allow me nilete my skills ya kuosha wamama pale nyumbani. Wewe you have not had a chance ya kuosha wamama, allow me to bring the skills so that you can see how differently wamama wanaoshwa huko nje, so that you can also next time when you are ushering this wamama, you can also embrace my skills, my way of doing it. Allow me to bring this and share with you instead of dismissing people. I think in conclusion, let us not dismiss the people from diaspora. They invest a lot. In fact, without the amount that diaspora send back home every year, the Kenyan economy would not be doing very well. So when you see some people tell you, what do you have? What do you know on the ground? And yet they don't know that you have either business that has created employment opportunities. They don't know maybe you have put a building that has made the place look better than it was before, So in terms of housing, you have improved the housing, and so on. So I can speak, but, let me stop there. For now.
Thank you so much, Mr. LM. And by the way, one of the fan of Taco, newly minted, recruited one I've recruited to the Taco show, he's watching, and he said, I need to talk to that guy about waste management, because we have been having those discussions with him, and we're trying to work on a project on waste management. So he was very excited with that. Bwana Alfred, hata kama umeenda blackout kidogo, najua jua imewaka. As a diaspora, do we have a role? What can we do, and where do we come in? You're muted.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Joe. I think diaspora got a lot to play. We have quite a number of things to do and an offer. Like Mr. said, quite often, like if Kipchumba goes there and he will be told, we wish you were here two years ago, or tunataka mtu alikuwa kwa ground. There are a lot of things that has been learned with people and by people who are in diaspora. One, of course, is the president was once in the US. My good friend, Alfred Mutua, was in Queensland here in Australia. You've seen what he has done, and I always use him as an example. You've seen what he has done to transform his county. Forget about his personal experience and everything, but go to Machakos?
Yes.
And see what has been done. See how he has built a beautiful, good governor's office with good money. No much has been looted. If there is, then it's not as much as like where I come from. And many things, a lot of small-scale industries has been developed, and many other things. People like Ledama, the senator for, is it Narok? He was in the US.
Yes.
His debate in parliament is over another scale. You cannot argue with him. He comes in with points. You see, even yesterday he rose a point that it was picked up on this issue with migrants in Nairobi and all over the place. And the directives was given out by the department in charge that a crackdown should be offered and put in place. So diaspora apart from coming in with intellects and people whom have gained knowledge and experience out here, we also have a part to play. Like if I'm building currently back home, the people who are building are people who are back home. I cannot come with people from diaspora to build. The local people who does the building and constructions, that is a job part of it. I'm offering a job. I don't need to be home so that you feel my presence. People forget that. The remittance, and Kenyans should understand this. Currently, the money that is running the economy, apart from this being looted after borrowing, is money from diaspora. Look, who is running agriculture? There's nothing coming in from agriculture. Farmers are dying. Go to Chamase, go to Chemelil. Tractors are stranded. No one is offering things for farmers. So there's nothing coming out of farming. So the money that is being sent is from diaspora, and the government is running on this. So we should value these people from diaspora as much as we value those people in the name of Wakokwa ground. Kipchumba in Sydney knows how things to do with, and I guess we will come and explain this going forward. The thing about the new road being built, I think it's called Uhuru's Legacy. What is it called again? The Mombasa Road bypass thing?
All I know is an overpass of some kind.
That one.
Yes.
So it is a toll road.
Yes.
So we don't know how Kenya will manage a toll road. And I once asked, and I was bashed, and they say it's gonna increase the economy. Things will, but how would Alfred use that toll road? Yet I don't even afford to pay for fuel.
And
how would common Mwananchi afford to use a toll road? So those things should be what Kipchumba would come and explain, because they have such in Sydney. Here in Western Australia, we don't run such things. So Kipchumba and the rest will come and explain. And that is where we have expertise. That is where people from diaspora comes in, because they have experienced these things. They know how these things will run. They know how these things generate income. And absolutely first-hand information from them should be given priority. But if you go home, utaambiwa ulikuwa kwa ground. Sasa Alfred, kama ningekuwa Itigo, saa hii huko kwa village. Alafu nikuje niombe, sindaambiwa tena bwana toa 50. Na mimi sitoi pesa rama, even if I am to run, I'm not going to use my money. So utatoa pesa bwana. So people should understand that we play a role as much as we are away. We still feel part of Kenya.
Yes.
We still hold the citizenship. We still hold sisi tumepewa huduma kama Wakenya wote wengine. We are confused as other Kenyans. Mimi mwenyewe bado nangoja huduma namba yangu, like many other Kenyans. So we should also be given priority bwana, and na tupendwe venye tunapenda wa Kenya. Sasa hivi tuna jackal, tuko kazi, niko mahali kwingine, but I am still giving my opinion because I love Kenya. Sasa msipotupenda, munataka tupendwe na nani bwana? Na penye tuko sio nyumbani. Munataka tupendwe na nani? That guy Misa is in Canada also. It's midnight. I think it's 2. You are in America. I think inaenda 3 a.m. But you are still giving your time to contribute and give opinion and also enlighten our people.
Yes.
But ukienda huko wataona, you're not contributing as much as I am concerned. Currently, you are not contributing anything, Joe, based on mtu mwenye ako kwa village. Na waste time yako kwanzia, umechukua saa yako kwanzia 2 hours ago. But those things, they will not think you've contributed anything.
Yeah.
Watakwambia sijui nini. So I want to urge our people, let us love each other, let us work together, and let us actually give also our brothers and sisters who are in diaspora an opportunity. And Arama, I want you to host most of these guys who are running to come and give us opinions. And I don't want to speak on their behalf as well. Let them come and, we have a session that they will give us what are their opinions, what are they're going to offer, what is something that is different from them, from those watu wenye wako nyumbani. What is that thing that they will be giving to us, so that other people also will get to understand and learn. Finally, Joe, as I finish, is that we have discussed, we've spent more than 2 hours, we've given our opinion. The most important thing that we should be doing is that we should be offering now solution-based ideologies. And this is, we should now be writing. Kenya, it is not that
we don't have a law that incriminates corruption. We have, but the president has failed. And if he's listening, and if it's someone who is close to him, should tell him he has failed, together with his team, whoever is in presidency, because everything has been looted left, right, and center. No one has been in jail. Nothing has been followed up. Unasikia unaona wanasema mtu amefungwa siku mbili, wanasema amepewa sijui bond ya 200 million. Hiyo 200 million inatolewa kwa 1 billion yenye aliiba, na mtu is working scot free. We have not given huyo mtu aingie ndani tuseme hii ni criminal kabisa, hii haiwezi hata pewa bond ama nini. Huyu mtu afungwe 10 years asikie. Ule mbunge mwenye aliiba mahindi na kila kitu, si yako saa hii anatembea huko anasema maneno ya chama yake, na ni mtu ameiba pesa, amewekwa bond ya 100 million, amelipa na ametoka. Here where I am in Australia, the what do we call, the mayor of the city, alipeana tu token tu, like ile ya kusema Kipchumba is my friend, I'll give them a present, ndio hiyo zawadi. That person alitolewa. The Minister of Health alienda meeting, alafu akatumia helicopter kwenda kuona shamba yake, nyumba alikuwa anaenda kununua. She was demoted from being the minister na akatolewa kwa ministry. But Kenyans, you will loot billions but still be cherished. Alafu kitu ya mwisho nikimalizia bwana Arama as I go, I want to urge the young ones, the young voters. You know, voters now when you wana vote sahi ni watu ya 2001. Hapa ndio wana vote sahi. Those are the ones that they will be using these social medias and meetings kututusi, kusema wewe hujatosha nini. Hata mzee baba Riga yake anakuja kutusi ati hajajua kurun government. Nataka kuambia, instead of you using your energy to tusi mtu kusema maneno mabaya, use it to the benefit of yourself first. Ujione. If Alfred is Kipchumba, if Felix is coming, what is he offering? If these old politicians who has been there comes back, what is he offering? The best thing we can do is give them, the only thing we can do is give them hard time asking questions. What will you do for the youth? What will you do for us? What will you do for this person? You've been there for 5 years. What have you achieved? Alfred, you have been there for that time. What have you achieved when you are there? See the track record of mtu. Na tuache maneno ya kusema mtu wetu. Mtu anaiba, tunarudi tunasema mtu wetu. Mtu wenu na nani? Na sisi wa Kenya wengine tunaumia. Even if mtu ni brother yako na ameiba, huyo sio mtu yako, huyo sio mtu wenu. You are not a thief as he is.
No.
Mtu apigwe mawe kivyake, na utuache fitina ya kusema mtu yetu. Hiyo ndio imetuharibu, hiyo ndio imeturudisha nyuma, na hiyo ndio itatufanya tusikue tunasonga mbele kimaisha. Asante sana.
Thank you so much.
But I want us to write something today. We have to form a committee to write something from hii maneno ya electricity. Kipchumba ni lawyer, ako hapa, anajua hizo ma English ya kutumia yote na quote constitution. Itumane iende parliament. I am happy to reach out to my member of parliament or the senator or whoever in charge. Aende atusomee huko, aseme watu ya tackle wamesema na wametumana hii ripoti, sababu hatuwezi kuwa tu tunaongea na hatuwezi pia kuweka bidii na tuone ile kitu tumefanya.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that's a great idea, and we need to follow up on our group, and we come up with something, a statement or a suggestion or solution, and let's get somebody to present in Parliament or Senate, and let them actually acknowledge there are people who are actually watching and seeing where we have a problem and offering solution. Bwana Felix, I know you are trying to interrupt Alfred kidogo. Let me give you, as we are winding down, let me give you this chance to give you a comment.
Sikuwa na interrupt, nilikuwa nina add-on kwa maneno ya toll.
Yes.
You know, funny enough, I think Alfred, on that point, there's a time there was an advertisement, jobs of recruiting tall people to who will be standing there to so that you can pay your toll fee.
Yes.
You know, and I'll tell you that is recipe for crisis. If there's gonna be people standing there, you can imagine the wait, the traffic, the jam, the line. It's not even making sense. It's better we stop even with this toll thing and now watch barabara ikuwe free.
Yeah.
Kwa sababu The minutes they're saying itachukua to, this, sometimes I wonder, these people who are elected in government, and a whole CS or roads, I don't know his name, but I heard his statement that it will take you 24 minutes from JKIA to Westlands, is it?
Yeah.
But if you don't have the $15 US, you'll use this a lower road. We can now start, we work with logic. We are not people who just give us a word and we run with it as you're the true and the salvation. So we are asking, there's a toll. Watu wamesimama wanalipisha watu kwa toll. How many minutes will it take to serve one car? And if the route is serving almost 5,000 cars a day, imagine a minute a car. How many 2 minutes a car?
That's a delay.
It is gonna be crisis. Sydney here, pale Kipchumba ako, they use toll, but it's on the screen. You don't even notice when ukipita, there is charge. It's like a traffic light. No, I'm a camera. Just works. He knows better. So it is, there's things that, but I know that cannot work in Kenya. We agree. But if it's not working, why then try and do things that are not able to be applied, and they're gonna be time wasting to our economy.
Yeah.
On second, there's something you said about hope. When you lose hope in life, you have no future. Hope is the only factor that keeps you pushing on.
Yes.
Hope and faith. So we have the hope of corruption is not lost. There's still hope, and that is what keeps us pushing. Even if how difficult the situation is, we keep on moving and pushing and trying to see a better day. On corruption, yes, corruption has been a main problem in Kenya. It didn't start yesterday. It's been since independence, but it doesn't mean that it will continue the same. Back at the end, there has to be an end to everything. And I'll tell you, an end is when we come ourselves, we deal with the problem from the ground. When I was young, I used to see leaders who still, I think Goldenberg was that was the one of the highest profile cases that was happening then when I was a bit young. And I came with them, and it's what you see is what you see is what you practice. It's someone who is growing up at this era. Was growing up with this era. There was Kemsa, there's been NYS. They see what is happening in our country, and that is what they perceive, and that is what they grow imitating every day. These things we don't come up just one day and then we are corrupt. It is from the bottom.
Yes.
I'm not saying bottom up, but the roots.
Yes.
We have to deal with it. It is a systematic thing, and the people who are in leadership at the moment play a very big role. They are the role model of the community. There are so many people who are emulating what they are doing. If you see a person doing a wrong thing and it's a leader, you wonder, is it okay? They did this, but nothing happened. They got whatever they got, and life moved on. And now it's even worse because the kind of generation we are in, we want things. It's a microwave society.
Yeah.
We want things ASAP. You want to get money quick. You want to drive a flashy car quick. You want to live. Hizi wanasema soft life. You want a soft life quick, Those are the things that are gonna destroy activity. Yeah?
Unataka kutumia kemikali.
Ama kemikali. Kemikali.
Thank you, Brother Felix. So,
that's the kind of generation.
But Felix,
that is the kind of generation that you are in. Yes?
Yeah. But Felix, I think, Bonarama, in terms of toll roads, I think I don't see, honestly, I don't see a problem. The solution is very simple. I think looking at how many kilometers are from JKIA to Westlands. Right? How many exits do we have from JKIA to Westlands? I think you can prepay. So the issue of traffic would not be an issue because once you pay, that's what you do at the airport. You prepay from the parking lot and you exit.
That's why you need smart people like you. Otherwise, you heard from Vilex, they're hiring people who are standing there. If you do the prepay, and those are some of the solutions. That the other solution is you have to put there's something you put in your car as you drive. Yes, it takes the money.
The easy pass, they call it in the US.
Yes, easy pass. Yes.
Yeah.
So really, good people like you are needed, but they are not going to listen.
Yeah. So the other thing, actually, so in terms of managing the toll roads, I don't see a problem, and I can tell you, Kenyans can pay. Nobody wants. Have you ever been in traffic? Yeah? Yep. Felix, I live in Rongai. Yeah. Have you ever been in traffic? You are stuck. Yes, I have. You can't move. If you have an alternative, you would rather pay because the amount of gas you're gonna use or time is more than what you would be saving to stay in the traffic. So I think that alternative is good. For me, is the management, the sustainability part of it. That's where we have a problem. And that's why I was thinking that Kenya needs to embrace the private-public partnership. For example, that toll road would have been given to a private investor and say, look, this road is going to cost you 1 billion, for example. But in the first 5 years, we are paying zero. You're going to spend your money to build it and manage it in the first 5 years. Now, after 5 years, we're going to give you 20% of the amount. Then another 5 years, we're going to give you 40%. And another 5 years, we're going to give you. So in a span of about 15 years or 20 years, this is when you recover your money. There are people who have money that would love to invest in that. And the conditions will be that the roads must be in very good conditions, that they must meet this threshold for you to be paid, failure to which we will not pay you as a government. And people, knowing where you have invested, you will do that which is needed to be done. And I think that's the model that we need to follow and adopt. And the other thing actually that is kept my attention when Arama, you spoke about tourism. At one time, I was really upset. I was at the airport, a Chinese, and I'm not trying to be racist, but someone of Asian descent is left with luggage, is not checked, but I am pulled to the side to be checked as a Kenyan, as a citizen. Mm-hmm. I am suspected, I am delayed to where I'm going, and this is home. But because of the color, in your own country, you're put aside. Just, like when you go through, most of us who have gone through Heathrow, you're black, you're pulled, passport control. So I have seen it in Kenya. And I'm at that time when you're being cleared, you ask, uko na ngapi? Ukifika huko mbele, uko na ngapi later. So if now think about it as an investor, would you want, as someone who has established connections, contacts abroad, would you want to bring your investor to go through, to be humiliated in your own country? So unless we start having these integrity issues, a place like home, when I come back to Canada, I go through immigration, I'm told, welcome back home. I'm treated like a hero, someone who has come back home, yet I am a foreigner in a foreign land. So when will we start impressing our own people? So the tourism is a business that those people who are in the ministry, immigration, they're doing it. Why would someone walk? I've never gone through to the US without being scrutinized to know my reason and purpose for visit, even though Canada and US have the NAFTA agreement, right?
Yes.
So, but I have to be scrutinized. I have to go through the process. And even when I come to Canada as well, I have to go through the process, check in, self-check, and make sure that I have what is needed. But having foreigners in our own country is a threat or a security threat. I remember some times back, and I want to address something Alfred said also quickly. Hao watu wanatutukana hapa online, and Kipchumba, you're gonna get that a lot. One day, now you know they also import this kind of behavior hata wakikuja hapa majuu. One day, I ran a not-for-profit organization that help on the integration of newcomers here in Canada. So you know, Wakenya kama kawaida, they think they are being taken advantage of the way wanakuwa taken advantage nyumbani. So one time, a lady really abused me when I stood up against bullying others, and she ended up in our office to be helped on the immigration issues. And you know, one of my colleagues saw that lady, and he knew that the lady had abused me, and he picked up the phone and said, "I have an interesting file that I'm sending to your office." And I said, "Which one?" He said, "Don't worry, sit back, I'm sending it there." So he sent the lady to my office, and the lady walked in, and as soon as she walked in and found, because she didn't know what I was doing, you know, and that's what we're saying. Sometimes don't abuse people, don't say things, because sometimes it will come to hit you. So when she walked into my office, she's like, "Oh my God." She was like, so what I want to say, I told her, "I understand you said things that were not very pleasant, but now this is professional. We're going to keep it professional. You know, I'm going to treat you as a client, and I'm going to help you as a client. However, I hope you learn that you don't disrespect and abuse people, because you don't know where you will meet tomorrow." And this behavior, people get carried away on social media, on WhatsApp forums, because they are quick to type. They do not know that some of the things they say in those media, in these forums, can be extracted and used in a court of law against them, because they think it's quick to say, and because they're hiding behind their phones, they can say anything. So I'm saying, let us treat people with the respect they deserve. Let us, you know, one thing I like about the late Joe McCain, I liked him when one time President Obama, someone said, "Oh, we can't trust this person. He's a Muslim. Oh, he's not an American." He said, "No, no, no, ma'am. He's President Obama, Senator Obama is a decent family man. You know, he's an American citizen who I only happen to disagree or differ on ideology." So he protected a fellow citizen. When will Kenyans start protecting fellow citizens and impressing them of who they are? That's what I would believe. And if you hate diaspora so much, why do you come for benchmarking? Because you spend a lot of money to send our county assembly, our parliamentarians, our senators to come and benchmark out here, you know? So that is why we are saying, do not hate, love.
Thank you so much. I want to keep real quick as we summarize and close the show. Your final comments.
So my final comments. Somebody has talked about how do we end corruption in Kenya. I will just give you one word: cognitive dissonance theory. Some of you have studied things to do with theories. You would recognize that cognitive dissonance theory normally suggests that individuals have an internal need, you know, to keep attitudes and believe in harmony. So if we teach our children in Kenya from the young age that corruption is bad, that you can never pay a bribe for anything, it builds a belief in them. And anytime you try to test that belief, you see this belief in Africa where sijui mwanaume gudet mwanaume ama mama gudet mama ni issue. If you teach our children to feel that way about corruption, that's how we end corruption in Kenya. About policies in diaspora, I myself, I would have a lot of policies to present, especially the number one is about retirement. People like us will be retiring at some point. Everyone will be retiring at some point. I pity people who don't have, the traditional job, in Kenya. You've been working Gibarua all your life, unachuna machani chai, or you going for Gibarua at somebody's house. You need to have a retirement plan.
Yes.
How do you put those people into NHIF? Oh, no, NSSF.
Mm-hmm.
I will be presenting those things when I step in parliament. So hiyo inashika even mtu ana work in your own house kama maid ama jamaa kuchunga ng'ombe. I hope people watch that and I hope people listen to that. Another easy quick fix would be on something called build environment economics. For example, Eldoret is a small, nice city. How do we make city of Eldoret a city that's family friendly, investor friendly, and something pleasant to look at? Number one, city planning. City planning has to incorporate things to do with security and safety of the people who live there. You provide open spaces. There's only one golf club in Eldoret, na hiyo ni ya members. We need golf club, yeah, everyone else. Those would be the things I present. Not even golf club. We need park where our children, if you're a big investor and you're building houses, the government must, in conjunction with you, must provide a space for children to play at. If you're building a house, if you can afford to build a house in certain part of Eldoret, you have to build a house of certain standard, have certain fence, and have certain driveway. If you're building investment property within Eldoret city, you have to meet certain requirements when it comes to driveway and the look of the building. Those are easy solutions that can be achieved. And if Kipchumba is elected a member of parliament, those are the things I can bring that I've seen here, and I know it can work without taking money from anybody's pocket. And that's how we build Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys very much. Now, Kipchumba and Felix, you might have missed when we started the show. I did challenge Wanamise and Alfred that next week I want us to talk about the opportunities out here. And how can we help the people who are interested to get those opportunities with the understanding that people invest their time to get these materials together. So if you are interested in that and you're part of the Taco team, you are watching, you're a fan of this show, you're watching, next week we are going to provide you some basic information and contacts on how you can get in touch with people, including some of them who may be coming to Kenya, and they will be holding some sessions where you can go and talk to them. My suggestion to you, whoever is listening, or you'll be playing this YouTube video later, get ready, get your paperwork ready. Once you go there, be ready to give some token of appreciation to get the information, because people put in time, they invest, and this is their professional job that they do. You need to be ready to put in some money. Nobody's going to cheat you on what you are going to do, because at the end of the day, you're going to benefit. There are so many opportunities out here, but you have to be willing to put in your time and money. Like we say here, you need to put your money where your mouth is. So we need to be ready for that. So next week, if you guys have any of that, be prepared to have that. And also, as a contestant Alfred has said, we need to get some of the diaspora people who are planning to contest in any political office. If you know of any, we need to have a time where we can invite everybody to come and have a session where they can present. And also, I'm going to challenge Gerald also that the politicians in Kenya also who are running for office, especially in the higher offices, we need to have a chance to actually interview them. Yeah. And for me, it's not an interview like a journalistic interview. For us, it's a job interview. what are you selling to Kenyans? What are you doing for Kenyans? What are your plans? So that's what I want us to be able to, because like Alfred said, we need to have solutions and provide solutions. So will continue our conversation offline once we end the show. I just want to thank you guys so much for coming to the show today and participating and giving your ideas and giving suggestion and solution in some parts. Thank you, Gerald, for this opportunity. We thank you and appreciate your efforts to get this show going in a very easy way. And we thank each and every fan that who continuously watches and tunes in on time each and every day and participate in your own way by comments, by suggestions, and all that. We thank you so much, the guys on the studio. Thank you so much, technical crew, for your work. We appreciate you. And ladies and gentlemen, the taco ends now. Thank you and have a good day.